allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we observe a moment of silence, I'd ask that you remember Donald Jernigan, who's having some health issues, but we got some good news today. He was released from the hospital, and hopefully he'll be back with us soon. And also, board member Terry Hodge is about to become a grandfather. Excuse me. So remember those folks and their families as we take a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, number 4 on the agenda is to select 2011 and 2012 board officers, which means we're choosing a chairman and a vice chair. Do I have nominations for chair?
Mr. Gill, I move that we re-elect as chairman Dr. Mark Burns and as vice chairman Mr. Terry Hodge by acclamation. They both done an outstanding job this past year.
Okay. The other nominations? Not. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Congratulations, Dr. Burns. Mr. Hodge.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for that vote. And congratulations, Terry, on becoming a grandfather. It's big news. So if he takes off early tonight, I think we'll give him an excused absence, won't we?
Well, I'm dying to know what the child is going to call him.
We'll find out. We'll give him some suggestions, the child, when she gets a little older. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like, if you could, Dr. Burns, I would like to see us on, I think it's number 9 down there, in regards to the update on the supplemental pay. If we could wait on that till Mr. Jernigan's back with us, because he had a lot of interest in that before we do anything further on that.
Okay. Take that as a motion. Is there a second to amend the agenda?
Second.
Any discussion on that amendment? I think it's a nice idea, given that Donald was particularly interested in this and he can't be here tonight. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the amendment's adopted. Now approving the agenda as amended. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. Consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. No visitors tonight. And we had the charter school update Tuesday. Number 9, we have put off till the next board meeting. Number 10.
Okay, on Tuesday at the work session, I mistakenly indicated we'd have updates on facilities. In retrospect, we have votes on things, and I apologize. Probably should have discussed that at that time, but that said, you can deal with me accordingly. Hey, Christiana Middle School batting cage and concession building. Christiana Middle School principal Bob Horn has requested permission to construct a batting cage and place an 8x12 prefab building for concessions by the baseball field at Christiana Middle School. Rutherford County Schools Engineering and Construction Department has reviewed the options and recommends that these projects be constructed outside of MTE-MC's power line easement. A site sketch is presented for the board's review. There are no gender equity issues. And we recommend that you approve construction of a batting cage and 8x12 concession building at no cost to the board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. B.
Just a quick comment
Sure.
on that. Once again, it's a result apparently of the good work of one of our booster clubs.
Right.
We do so much for so many B, John Coleman Elementary School Fitness Grant. John Coleman School has been awarded a $10,000 grant from the Richard Siegel Foundation to purchase fitness equipment. Dr. Phillips has requested permission to purchase and install the equipment on site at John Coleman. Rutherford County School Maintenance Department will install the equipment. Recommend that you approve construction of fitness equipment at John Coleman School that was purchased with Siegel Foundation grant. The equipment will be installed by maintenance.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. C.
Oakland Middle School baseball and softball field dugout. Oakland Middle School principal Sandra Eaton has requested permission to construct dugouts at both the baseball and softball fields at Oakland Middle School. Construction costs will be funded through donations and fundraising and no cost to the school board. There are no gender equity issues. We recommend that you approve construction of the dugouts at Oakland Middle School, baseball and softball fields at no cost to the board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. Can I vary a little bit from the agenda? And I didn't warn Terry I was going to ask him, but Terry has been sort of leading our effort on Central Baseball, right, Terry? You've had a meeting or two on that. Can you tell us where we are on that? And Harry, I know you've been involved too.
In fact, met with them today, with the city, along with, Buddy Powers over at Central. And it looks like, the city asked him for a copy of his schedule. And, they think they may be able to work something out at, just looking at it from the front end. Maybe the baseball out at Barfield and the softball out at Starplex, out at McKnight out there, so, he's supposed to get them scheduled, the city's supposed to look at it, and then get back, they're gonna get back together, so.
What would have to be done to the fields to bring them up to, or maybe not anything, I don't know.
Just from what, just listening to the conversation, I think they're both pretty well up to standards out here at Barfield for the boys, and I know the girls are out there at McKnight. So
Yeah, I think that holds true, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I think they're you know, the talk was, let's look at something that'll run 2 or 3 years, and then something opens up somewhere down the line. As Laney mentioned, he said the ideal situation if they turn some of that land up there at the old hospital into some kind of park up there. But he didn't know anything on that. So
But the Oakland's ball fields are closing, is that right?
yeah, they're close.
Okay. That's really what has put us in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, we originally,
That's what was going to be the deal, right? Yeah.
But the city is, they're going to try to make something work that'll work for everybody. As Laney said, he said, start the conversation off, he said, I'll always try to work with the county schools. So.
Well, thank you for bringing us up to speed on that.
Just ask, what is the conversation, at least at this point in time, about a longer-term solution to that? Because if you're asking for a schedule this year and try to work something out, at some point in time, that's not going to work.
Well, this is just me talking out loud, just knowing what I know on the girls' side of it. With the way things have gone in the past, my involvement with the program, kids have got so many things to do anymore, and there's so many leagues running that the numbers out there are actually on the decline. So, I mean, space-wise, I foresee them having space there for several years, but the baseball out here, I'm not sure on that, but in talking with the city, they're looking at, I think it's been in the paper before, out at Blackman area, about doing another, you know, I'm talking about a nice complex that'll accommodate, you know, big tournaments and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm sure, you know, they were just talking about 2 to 3 years starting off, you know, to try to make something work. And who knows what may open up.
Well, we own that land at Blackman Elementary,
Yeah.
and actually, Mr. Dr. Ash and Coach Power and I rode out there. There's ample land to build a softball and baseball field. Of course, first thing out of my mouth was you got funding, $300,000 to fund it, and they of course said no. And I suggested maybe they find maybe a private donor or something, or if there was some fundraising opportunity, and there weren't, which is why we've gotten where we would. Terry jumped in there and used his influence with the city and the fact that he's lived here helped us get that. So, you know, it's always a possibility down the road.
So they're covered for this year, it sounds like, anyway. They'll have some home games. Last year, they had no home games.
It sounds like the city's going, you know, try to work with them, and, you know, a lot of it just centers around the play they already have within the leagues and stuff like that.
I appreciate you taking the lead on that.
You know, a little off the subject, but not totally. I was surprised and happy to find out that we've got about 18 Central Magnet School students that get to Eagleville every day and play football.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
That's worked out pretty well.
yes, it has.
As long as we're off the agenda, I've been out to Old Fort several times this fall, and that really turned out to be a nice project, you know, which we funded the construction of those courts, and the city's now taken over the
That's what,
maintenance.
not to interrupt,
Yeah.
but that's what Lanny brought that up today, about, the working relationship that's developed out of the tennis court deal. And, you know, he's very appreciative of that.
No, that worked out very well. Okay, I guess we're ready for D. Yeah.
Oakland High School concession stand. Oakland High School Principal Bill Spurlock has requested permission to construct a concession stand under the home side bleachers at Oakland High School Stadium. Excuse me. The building will be approximately 15 by 20 feet and used to sell concessions. No cooking will take place in the building. The construction will be wood frame and on a concrete slab to grade. Oakland High School will be responsible for all permits and compliance with all state and local codes. The building will be constructed at no cost to the board with funding from the Football Boosters Club. Recommend that you approve construction of a 15 by 20 concession stand at Oakland High School football stadium at no cost to the board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. 11.
Playground equipment improvement for 10 preschool playgrounds. Special Ed Department requests board approval to purchase $137,577.50 in playground equipment and shade structures for Kids Zone Play systems for 10 preschool playgrounds. The system will be used in its preschool federal stimulus, ERA funds, for a portion this purchase, $78,690 for cantilevered sunshade structures. The remainder of the playground equipment and labor will be funded by federal IDEA Part B funds, $58,887.50. This equipment meets the requirements of the ERA Section 1605 and ERA Section 1606. Sunshade structures will provide shelter from the sun and weather for preschool students with disabilities. The new equipment will incorporate special education inclusion opportunities for these students. Total cost of the project is $137,577.50. This cost includes all equipment installation. Special Ed Department will pay for the purchase utilizing its carryover preschool ERA stimulus funds and federal IDEA Part B funds. Prices utilizing the O'Brien County Board of Education contract bid with Kids Zone Play System. Recommend that you approve the agreement with Kids Zone Play System for provision playground equipment and installation be paid from preschool ERA stimulus funds and federal IDEA Part B funds.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. Number 12.
Dismissal of a tenured teacher. The board has been provided with a memorandum containing charges against Danny Williams, who is a tenured teacher with the board. Mr. Williams has been suspended without pay pending board action. The board sustains these charges. Mr. Williams will be presented with a copy of the charges and a statement of his rights under Tennessee law. Recommending to sustain charge against Danny Williams as presented.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
This is a tough thing to do, but this literally is our job.
Well, no, you don't have to get into the details, but you worked hard to prevent this outcome, as I understand it.
Absolutely. We all did. I
Yeah.
think we all did what we could.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion is adopted. General discussion.
I want to update you on two situations.
Sure.
At some point.
No, go ahead.
I presume everybody's aware. Every day is an adventure in this job, isn't it, guys? I think we'd all agree with that. It started out this morning at Stewart's Creek Elementary Middle School. They both went on lockdown. Gentleman was out for the morning walk, and I guess he was packing a pistol. And apparently some parents saw it, called in. Sheriff Patrol in Smyrna locked the buildings down. They finally tracked the guy back to his house. He was legally licensed to carry a pistol, of course. Wishing we could carry it somewhere other than on, in the school area, because it does frighten people, and rightfully so. So that had a decent ending, and I received one email commending the principals for a job well done, and I didn't get any calls saying they'd done a lousy job, which was comforting. So I thank both those principals and law enforcement, everybody else for pulling that off and doing what they're supposed to do. And then this afternoon, we had a gas leak at Browns Chapel. All those folks were evacuated to Stewartsboro, somewhere, 1:30, something like that. And both assistant principals and Kelly Goosetree and the faculty and everybody had level heads and got folks out of there. And we sent messages in both cases through our messenger system, and have had only positive returns. And we practice these kind of things. We have a plan, and it's always nice when we have to implement it, and it works out like as intended. So, and Paula and James really worked hard on the one this afternoon, so I thank them.
Well, thanks for that report. Wayne?
I'm surprised that you could move that many children in that short a time on such short notice. So that's a tremendous endeavor and successful ending. So,
Aaron?
very pleased.
According to our policy, and we've discussed this in a couple of previous meetings, we need to do a board self-evaluation in view of the evaluations that our teachers are undergoing and the increase of that. I really feel it's important that we do that evaluation. Dr. Burns and I have discussed there is a provision that the evaluation be reviewed in a meeting by itself, and I would like to make a motion that the board allow that evaluation to take place, and Dr. Burns schedule it in a upcoming regularly scheduled meeting to be reviewed.
So moved. Or second. Sorry.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, we did this once before, and we did, and our policy does stipulate that we do it in a meeting with nothing else on the agenda, and I think we decided that maybe wasn't the best use of time and money. So I think this is a good compromise position. And did you want? We have a form or an instrument that we used last time.
GSBA.
You okay using that?
Absolutely.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And Wayne's already given his. It was an A+, as I recall, wasn't it?
Well, I'll settle for that.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. So Joyce and I will put our heads together and figure out the timing of this. But I think it's ready to go, isn't it,
Yes.
Joyce? So maybe we'll mail it to you and, or just, we'll talk. One way, either in the mail or at our next meeting, we'll give you that form. Other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I brought up the evaluation model for discussion on Tuesday evening.
Right.
And after our discussion, it was concluded that I should submit a draft, which I have done. Every member should have a copy of that. I did bring it on my USB drive so it can be amended if we choose to adopt it as an amendment and sign it if that's what the board chooses to do. Just to kind of follow up on that, I was at Blackman Middle School today and had a nice meeting with Will Shelton, who I highly respect as an administrator, has been doing that at several schools for a good while. He just made the point to me that in all the years he's been a principal, this is the 1 year, because of this model, that he feels like he has the least handle on how his school is running, because he says he's spending so much time jumping through the hoops. Those 5-minute walkthrough evaluations are times where he typically pops into the classrooms to kind of get a general feel for what's going on. He says, I don't have time for that anymore. And you know, he's very distressed that he doesn't have time to do the things that he feels like has made the school successful for, because he's having to go through this kind of a model thing. I thought it just really followed up on some of the thoughts that I had or heard before. So I don't think anybody, he included, find fault with the idea of evaluating. But one of the bullet points I put there is I just can't find anybody that suggests that someone who has a long history of being an excellent teacher needs to be gone through this process. He also made a point that he has someone that is going to retire, he's confident is going to retire, willing to write it down that they're going to retire, and yet that person is still required, he's still required to go through the same model with that, which is to me, is just not an effective use of time. What we're just talking about today, there are other things. So there are teachers that need to be evaluated. It has a purpose. The purpose of evaluation is to make teachers better so that the school can be better, so the students can be better. I don't think anybody wants to argue that point at all. I just think that is asking that it be relooked at and just listen to some folks. And again, I make the point that these are seasoned, respected teachers that we're listening to. It's not people flying off the handle, and I think there's a good bit of that as well. But I think that we know some folks, and Will being one of those, that I have high respect for, and I just think it needs to be relooked at. And I ask the board to consider this language, or whatever language you choose to go with, to just simply make that point to the commissioner.
Okay. Members, have you had a chance to read this over? Are you ready to decide on this or not?
I read it over. To me, it's well done.
Okay.
I'm in favor of it.
Any other?
That's for sure.
The only thing that I saw here was in the last paragraph, therefore the 7 members of the Rutherford County School Board. We will be 6 members tonight voting on this. If we wanted to reflect accurately, therefore the Rutherford County School Board, I'm sure that we act in one accord as we send that, but that would be a slight detail. I also have heard from teachers, and they are very distressed about this. It is a serious concern. However, they have also expressed to me that the evaluation tool does force them to look at things in a way that they have not looked at it before. It is something that stretches them. And I'd like to make the point that it's valid for us sometimes to set a goal that seems almost unattainable in order to push the envelope and achieve something we thought we couldn't get to. So while I like what Mr. Tackett has put together here, and I think that it's good feedback to our Department of Education, I think also that their work has some strong merits.
Also, like in that last paragraph that Mr. Tackett said, reviewed immediately and appropriate modifications made. So if I don't think any of us want to completely do away with the program. It's just we would like to see it less arduous on our administrators and our certified people. So,
I think all of us would recognize that this one letter it's not going to put a great big dent into anything in an immediate fashion. I don't suggest that it would or even should. Nobody should knee-jerk, just as we shouldn't knee-jerk the reaction that people we hear. But I do think it's one of these things that needs to be set out. And hopefully, if they hear this enough times, they will ask the questions. And just be sure, maybe it is confirmed that this is the absolute best model that can be done. And if that be the case, then so be it. But I'm hopeful that I think we do have a respected system here. I think we have a respected board here. And I think a board that has this type of respect is one that will at least cause the question to be asked, is this the best we can do? And that's my intent.
Okay. Other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. So Tim, if you'll provide Joyce with an electronic version, she'll prettify it up and we'll send it on. What's your Joyce? Well, I mean, put it on letterhead and all that.
I didn't get who made the motion.
Well, Tim would have made the motion.
Oh, was there not yeah,
I'm not
I
sure a
thought-
motion ever was
I don't think,
made.
Did I imagine the emotion?
I didn't get it.
We already had a vote, so, you know. Do we need a motion to be, a motion?
I think mine was.
I thought somebody seconded
I
I
it.
made
heard somebody
mine in
make
the
a
form of
motion. I thought
motion.
Wayne made the motion, but
Well, if Joyce didn't hear it, it didn't happen, so let me have a
I
motion.
make it.
And I'll
Okay.
second it again.
Thank you.
All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
And no one's opposed, I'm sure, so the motion carries. Any other discussion? All right. If not, we are adjourned.